Our next story focuses on how small countries from the global south are standing up to America's arrogance. This is the story of Lesotho, a small African country that, according to US President Donald Trump, nobody has ever heard of, quote unquote. Just for context here, while addressing the US Congress, Donald Trump made that remark while listing out what he claimed were cuts to wasteful expenditure. Let me tell you what he said. I'm quoting, $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of, quote unquote. And his statement elicited laughter from some lawmakers. But here's the question. What is so funny about that? Because to us, what's truly laughable is the sheer ignorance and arrogance on display. Because, in fact, Lesotho is a country that America profits from. Lesotho is one of the biggest beneficiaries of the U.S. African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, a program that's basically designed to give favorable trade access to certain African countries to boost their economic growth. And according to the U.S. government, the two countries traded goods worth $240 million in 2024, which was mostly Lesotho's exports to the United States, particularly textiles and clothing. And since we're talking about this, here's what else you should know about the country. Trump said that the United States spent $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ issues in Lesotho. Now, here's what's happening. Much of the aid that USAID sends to Lesotho goes towards HIV prevention, reportedly. Yes. You see, the United Nations estimates that nearly a quarter of Lesotho's population is living with HIV. Beyond that, Lesotho plays a big role in the global textile industry. According to BBC, Lesotho's garment factories have produced jeans for major American brands like Levi's and Wrangler. And this has earned the country the title of the denim capital of Africa. It is also one of the sub-Saharan Africa's largest clothing exporters to the United States. Although, interestingly, many of its textile and clothing factories are owned by Chinese and Taiwanese migrants. Due to its harsh environment, Lesotho is not rich in natural resources. Its biggest export, you ask? Water, referred locally as white gold, which is sold to neighboring countries of South Africa. Diamonds are another key export. Now, after all of this, it's natural that Lesotho responded to American dismissiveness with a lot of shock. Its foreign affairs minister said that it was shocking that a head of state referred to another sovereign country in this manner. Speaking to BBC, he said, and I'm quoting here, "To my surprise, the country that nobody has heard of is a country where the United States has a permanent mission. Lesotho is a member of the United Nations and several other international bodies. The US has an embassy here, and numerous American organizations operate in Maseru." Later, speaking to AFP, he stated that Lesotho is not taking this matter lightly and will be sending an official protest letter to Washington. But you see, Trump is not the first American president to try and mock or belittle countries in the global south. Just last year, former US President Joe Biden made equally controversial remarks, this time about Papua New Guinea. Biden implied that his uncle, Ambrose Finnegan, may have been eaten by cannibals after his plane crashed in Papua New Guinea during World War II. At a war memorial event, Biden twice suggested, not once but twice, that the US could not recover his uncle's remains because, in his words, there used to be a lot of cannibals in the region. At the time, Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister, James Marape, had pushed back against Biden's characterization of the country, naturally. While cannibalism was documented among remote tribes in the mid-20th century, Papua New Guinea has worked for decades to shed such stereotypes. And Biden's comments were widely criticized. One user on X from Papua New Guinea's capital said, and I'm quoting here, "What utter rubbish is he on about?" quote unquote. Call it ignorance, arrogance, or just being condescending. One thing is clear. For a country that claims to be the moral compass of the world, the United States shows a remarkable lack of awareness, knowledge, empathy, sensitivity, when it comes to the rest of the world, it seems, especially the global south. But no more. The Global South is standing up and fighting back against this. And maybe for once, the United States, a country that declares war on any country that dares question its hegemony, should lose. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.